Chapter 12 of The Problem Club. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information, or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by phone. The Problem Club by Eric Pain. The Pig Keeper's Problem. Well, gentlemen, said the chairman, Lord Herngill, you have been required to purchase a copy of the current issue of The Pig Keeper's Friend. It is generally published on the 7th of every month, but if the talented editor happens to be thinking about something else at the time, as occasionally happens, it may come out a few days later. It is published according to the law, but it cannot be said to court circulation. It is exposed for sale in certain places, but I doubt if any copy has been purchased by the general public for the last year, at any rate not until the members of this club went on the hunt for it. How did you get on, Major Byles? Wish I'd never gone in for it, snapped the Major. I told my regular newsagent to get me a copy. He said he hadn't heard of it, but would make inquiries. At the end of a week he came to me with a story that, as far as he had been able to learn, the paper had discontinued publication a year before. I knew that was a lie, of course, and told him so, and said I'd finished with him. There's only one other newsagent near me, and I had to go to him. His beastly boy leaves the wrong papers at the house every morning, and seems to think I'm a socialist like himself. The end of it will be that I shall have to eat my own words and go back to the other man. Destroys all discipline, that kind of thing. Dr. Alden, Pusely Smith, and several others had hunted trade lists and directories in vain. Mr. Matthews had lavished money on advertisements, offering a sovereign for a copy of the current issue of The Pig Keeper's Friend, and had received no reply. Sir Charles Bunford had written to an old friend who held a high position at the British Museum, asking him to get a hold of some recent number of The Pig Keeper's Friend and let him have the address at which it was published. After some delay the friend replied that he had seen a copy of the periodical, and that it appeared to be the work of a lunatic, and that the address given in it was the Impersonation Society, Boswell Court, Fleet Street. It certainly looked to me, said Sir Charles, as if I had got hold of the right end of the stick. I found the office, which appeared to occupy the whole of the top floor of the building. The name of the society was painted on the outer doors, and underneath was the legend, Hours, 10 to 4. It was then 11 in the morning. I knocked and rang, and could get no answer at all, and I could hear no sound of any activity within. I came back at 3 in the afternoon with the same result. I then sent a letter saying that I required a copy of the current number of the paper, and wished to know what amount I should forward for the purpose, and to make it quite certain I enclosed a stamped and addressed envelope. Well, I got a reply with an illegible signature. It said that no retail business was done at the office, but that I could apply for the copy through the usual channels. I still thought that I was on the right line, and gave the address to my newsagent and set him to work. The answer he got was that the current issue was out of print, all copies having been allocated. So there I stuck. You came rather near it, though, said the chairman. Suppose we shorten matters. Does any member claim to have won this competition? Our friend Jimmy has been looking rather pleased with himself all the evening. Have I? Said Jimmy. Well, I don't mind admitting that I've jolly good reason to be pleased with myself just now, quite apart from the competition. I've won that too, as it happens, but I don't take much credit for it. Of course, you could say that it was due to the improved habits and all that, and I suppose that was so, more or less, but the fact remains that I wasn't even thinking about the thing at the time, and if I hadn't forgotten my cigarette case, it would never have happened. So if you don't call it luck, what are you to call it? Mr. Feldane, said the chairman, with great gravity, you are beginning your story at the wrong end, that is, with the criticism of it. I must ask you to tell us simply what happened from the very commencement, and as coherently as possible. Certainly, said Jimmy indulgently. Any old way that you happen to fancy. Well, to start with, though as a matter of fact it had been going on for more than a week before, they asked me to dine with them at the house on Wimbledon Common. So naturally I jumped at it. I won't say I had always been addicted to the scenery of Wimbledon, but there were certain private reasons. Private reasons for dining at Wimbledon? Said Heseltine reflectively. I think I know her name, don't I? Wish you wouldn't interrupt just at the moment when I'm being coherent. I was going to dine at Wimbledon, and it takes some doing to get there. My own little car was in hospital, and the natural way seemed to be to take a taxi, and let it tick up to 2 pences until I wanted to go back. Then I reflected that I had decided to give up all silly extravagance, and on inquiry I found that there was a place called Waterloo Station from which I could book to Wimbledon. So I did so. I didn't smoke on my way out, which must have been a kind of absent-mindedness. It was on my way back that I found that I had forgotten my cigarette case. Now, nothing makes you feel you must smoke so much as the knowledge that you can't. I hopped out at Vauxhall and found a taxi right away. I'd got all the luck in the world that night. I told the driver where to go and to stop at a tobacconist's, and do it soon. The shop he stopped at, in a back street of a side street, didn't look up to much, but I was desperate and ready to smoke anything that was called a Turkish cigarette. Behind the counter I found a fat, middle-aged man reading a book. He gave me something that would do, took my money, and called me sir, but he was no more a tobacconist than I am. Tobacconists may do a lot of funny things, but they don't read the Agamemnon of Aeschylus in the original Greek, which is what this blighter was doing. Nor do they have manicured nails and an Oxford intonation. His attempt at a Cockney accent was one of the most pathetic failures I've ever met. However, that's not the point. The point is that on the counter was a small pile of copies of the current number of The Pig-Keeper's Friend. The number consisted of 16 pages, and they were very small pages, and the price was £1, but I did not hesitate. I bought my copy, and I have it in my pocket now. I'll hand it up to our chairman. I've had a glance at it myself, and I'm inclined to agree with that museum Johnny. It's got nothing to do with pigs. It's mostly poetry, and the rest is foolishness. It beats me altogether. The chairman examined a copy of the paper which had been handed to him. "There is no doubt about it," he said. "This is a copy of the current issue, and Mr. Feldane assures us that he bought it. No other claim is put forward. The club's cheque for £110 will therefore be drawn to the order of Mr. Feldane. Has any member anything to add?" "I have," said Mr. Matthews. "The whole thing wants clearing up, and I hope our chairman will clear it. Is our problem-setter really a lunatic? What is he doing with this weird paper of his? What's the Impersonation Society? Who was the over-educated tobacconist? We'd like the whole story." And to this there was general assent. "I've no objection," said Lord Herngill. "Willie Bunting has empowered me to tell you anything I like about him, including the truth. The fact is that in this problem the members of this club have come up against another organization, the Impersonation Society, which is one of Bunting's curious inventions. I first knew him as an undergraduate. I thought a good deal of his ability both as a poet and as an amateur actor. He was also no end of a lark. He was not a lunatic, but he had endless eccentricities. He had no ambitions, a contempt for public opinion, and a determination to do just as he liked. He was sent down for impersonating one of the proctors. He was beautifully made up, and looked exactly like that proctor, but he had the misfortune to meet the original in Trumpington Street. This disaster did not greatly trouble him. He had more money than was good for him, and was not intending to take up any profession. He came to London, and shortly afterwards he started the Impersonation Society. His theory was that the ordinary holiday is a mistake, and that what a tired man or woman wants is not only a change of place, but a change of personality. In order to get a complete rest you must, for the time being, be somebody else. You must dress and live like the character you have assumed, and you must even try to think like them. I am by no means sure that there is not something to be said for the idea. There must be plenty of people who think so, for the membership of the society has increased every year, and includes some of the very last people that you would expect to find in such an organization. For instance, the man that Jimmy found in the tobacconist's shop in the Vauxhall neighborhood is in reality the headmaster and proprietor of a large and successful private school. All through term time he is treated with intense respect. Little boys call him sir, and tremble before him. His assistant masters treat him with a deference which they are probably very far from feeling. He lives in an atmosphere of sickening and insincere flattery, and smoking is strictly prohibited. So in his holiday he becomes a tobacconist's assistant, smokes all day, goes about in his shirt sleeves, treats customers with respect, is respected by nobody himself, professes no more virtues than he really has, and thoroughly enjoys it. He says that it keeps him sane. The shop itself is, of course, the property of the society, and the resident manager trains those members who wish to take a holiday there. I should perhaps explain why Sir Charles Bunford was unable to obtain entrance to the rooms of the society. He misinterpreted the legend on the door. The hours are 10 to 4, but they are from 10 at night to 4 in the morning. I may add that it was once raided by the police, to the intense disappointment of the police and to the great joy of the members, particularly Willie Bunting. But I must tell you something of the pig keeper's friend. Willie's nearest relative is an irascible uncle who told him that he was wasting his life. Willie said that, on the contrary, he was enjoying it. The uncle maintained that Willie did nothing, and Willie replied that he wrote poetry. Then the indignant uncle did a foolish thing. He said that he was prepared to bet £100 that Willie never had a poem accepted by the editor of any existing periodical published in London. Willie jumped at that bet. That moribund monthly, The Pig Keeper's Friend, was at that time in the market. It had lost its circulation and had never had advertisements. The wretched enthusiast who had brought it into being was heartily sick of it. Willie offered a fiver for it, which was more than it was worth, and instantly became the proprietor. He then appointed himself editor, and in his editorial capacity accepted one of his own poems and printed it in the next issue. A prefatory note said that the editor had no doubt that the wary pig keeper would be glad to beguile his hours of leisure with the following poem by his esteemed contributor, William Bunting. Willie sent a copy of it to his uncle, received his 100, and was cut out of the uncle's last will and testament. Having acquired the magazine, Willie proceeded to make it the organ of the Impersonation Society. He still printed his own poems in it, and occasionally mine, but it was principally devoted to the cryptic record of the many strange activities of the Impersonation Society. The original title was retained, and occasional references to pigs and pig-keeping will be found in it. For instance, in the current number, there are a number of spoof inquiries from agonized pig-keepers seeking the expert advice of the editor in their difficulties. One of them asks how, in the event of his pigs swarming, he is to know which of them is the queen. The editor's replies are humorous and in some cases, I regret to say, Rabelaisian. The present issue of the paper was on sale at the tobacconist's. It has also been offered in the public streets by a supposed newsvendor every day for the last month. The only copy purchased was bought by Jimmy, who found it by accident. As the paper is sold only by members, Mr. Matthews will understand why his advertisements fail to get any result. And now that I've answered your questions, I'd like to put one to our prize winner. Go ahead, said Jimmy. How many times have you dined at Wimbledon in the last week? 4 times, as it happens. You see, the views there over the common are really— You needn't continue. You've said enough. I am sure that I may offer you the hearty congratulations of the club on your engagement. Well, I'm blessed, said Jimmy. I am engaged, I'm pleased and proud to say, but how on earth did you know? In many ways, and I'll tell you one. Only one thing on earth could have made you forget your cigarette case. And naturally the next thing to do was to drink to the health of Jimmy and his future bride. And it was done with great enthusiasm. And here the chronicles of the Problem Club must come to an end. The story of how Willie Bunting became a member of the club and subsequently retired from it, and how the solution of one problem brought the Reverend Septimus Cunliffe into the police court, and how the solution of another made Mr. Matthews miss his dinner, and how a Negro failed to get into the club, and how a girl of 17 was actually elected, these things with many others must remain hidden in the club archives. End of chapter 12. End of The Problem Club by Barry Payne.